Hello, today I want to talk about when your heart hurts so much you can't move forward. The fight to let go and seek help. There are moments in life when everything feels too heavy, when your heart aches so deeply that every breath feels like a struggle and every step feels like an impossible task. It's the kind of pain that lingers in your chest, a hollow emptiness that does not seem to fade, no matter how hard you try to push it away. You can't move forward, not because you don't want to, but because every ounce of energy is consumed by the ache inside. And in those moments, the hardest thing to do is to admit you cannot do it alone. I reached that point several years ago. Life as I once imagined it wasn't turning out the way that I'd hoped. It was a vision I had for myself, a dream that I'd worked so hard to build. But one by one, those pieces began to fall away, and I found myself in a place that I never thought I'd be. I fought with every ounce of strength to hold everything together. I tried to fix the situation, to change the circumstances, and to control the outcome. I told myself that if I just kept pushing, just kept trying harder, things would change. But that fight, that endless striving, only brought more exhaustion and heartache. The harder I fought, the more I realized that no matter how much I tried to control everything, I couldn't. And the realization, that deep, bitter truth that control was never truly mine to begin with, hit me like a wave that I can't escape. There is a strange paradox when you reach this place. You can feel yourself wanting to move forward, to heal, to find peace, but you can also feel stuck, paralyzed by the overwhelming reality that you have no idea how to get there. It's kind of like being at the edge of a cliff, knowing you need to jump to move forward, but being too terrified to take the leap. In that space, you start to question everything. You wonder what went wrong. Was it something you did? Was it something you didn't do? And why does it feel like the world is spinning around you? And yet you cannot seem to catch up. I found myself asking these questions too, hoping for an answer, a sign, something that would give me the courage to take the next step. But the answers didn't come. Instead, what came was a moment of clarity, a small voice inside that whispered, "You don't have to do this alone." And that's when the hardest truth of all hit me, that it's okay to ask for help. At first, asking for help seemed like the obvious next step. Surely there was someone out there who could help me. But the reality of seeking help wasn't as simple as I had imagined it would be. I reached out to people I trusted, but their answers weren't enough. Some were well meaning, others offered advice that only made me feel more isolated or trite. Others simply didn't know how to help me, or perhaps couldn't understand the depth of my pain. I tried therapy, but after several sessions, it felt like I wasn't making progress. The therapist thought that antidepressants were the only answer and would put me to sleep for several months at a time. The words didn't seem to reach the part of me that needed healing. I tried reaching out to my friends, but the weight of my grief seemed to push people away, even though that was definitely not my intention. The more I tried to seek help, the more it seemed like doors were closing. It was as if I was looking for a lifetime, but everything I grabbed onto slipped through my fingers. Every attempt to reach out only amplified the feeling of being unheard, misunderstood, and ultimately more alone. And here I was standing in the middle of a life that didn't look anything like the one I had planned. Everything I thought I had control over was slipping away, and no amount of fighting or grasping could change the direction. Life had unfolded in a way I hadn't expected, and with it came a sense of certainty and vulnerability that I wasn't prepared for. I was left wondering if this was all part of the process of healing, or was it just part of what I had to accept in life? And then, after all the trying and failing, I finally heard the message that I needed. Help doesn't always look the way you think it will. The help I was seeking wasn't going to come from a perfect therapist, perfect conversation, or a quick solution. It would come from allowing myself to be vulnerable enough to feel my pain and accept that it was okay to not have it all figured out. It would come from accepting that help could come in a small, quiet way, sometimes in unexpected forms. It also came in the form of a life coach. There's so much pride in wanting to solve things on your own, to feel like you can hold it all together. But there's also a kind of strength in admitting that you can't do it all, that seeking help is not a weakness, but an act of self-love and care, that asking for help is the first step towards healing. It wasn't easy to admit that I needed others. It felt like surrender, like giving up. But in reality, it was a step forward. It was choosing not to fight against something that was bigger in me and accepting that I didn't have to carry this burden by myself. Seeking help meant allowing myself to be vulnerable, to trust in others, and to believe that healing was possible. And slowly over time, I began to feel the weight lifting, not because things magically appeared overnight, but because I no longer carried it all alone. I allowed myself to rest, to breathe, to accept that I didn't have it all figured out, that it was okay to be broken, and that asking for help was a necessary part of the healing journey. If you're in that place right now where the pain feels unbearable and you can't seem to move forward, I want you to know that it's okay. It's okay to be stuck, to feel lost, to be unsure, but it's also okay to ask for help, to lean on others, and to take things one step at a time. Healing doesn't have to happen in a rush, and it doesn't have to happen alone. It happens when you allow yourself the grace to just be, and when you give yourself permission to seek the support you deserve. If you need help, please reach out. You don't have to go through this alone. If you feel like you want to stop the pain, but you don't know how, please go to mammothedge.com and take the life assessment. I would love to meet with you and support you in finding out how to move forward from pain to healing. Thank you.